Each and every living being is a unique manifestation with its own feelings, abilities, and desires. But living beings share certain commonalities, even the simplest life to the most complex, share the desire to live, to thrive, to survive, and each in their own form to find happiness. What happiness means for different living beings changes. As the mind and body becomes more complex, the definitions of happiness, the desires, become more complex. Until the realization comes that happiness cannot be found in the variety of acquisitions and the fulfillment of different desires. And through deep reflection, living beings, human beings, can come to realize that all of the desires that define happiness have one commonality: the fulfillment of a fundamental restlessness or yearning within. That restlessness, that yearning within, wants to be satisfied. And all of the objects of one's desire, all of the ways in which fulfillment can occur, are temporary if they are bound by time. Everything in this material world, in this physical world, is bound by time. So all of the images and objects, relationships, personal achievements are all bound by time because they involve forms which are bound in time, bound by temporal existence. And there is the realization, after seeking forms and finding fulfillment time and time again, that the fulfillment is temporary. It doesn't last. The restlessness within, the yearning within, comes again, because the forms are not sufficient to fulfill this deep longing, this deep restlessness inside. As happy as the situations and circumstances you desire make you for a little time, they cannot stop this deep yearning inside that again returns when the circumstance changes just a little. Because this deep yearning within you is part of your eternal calling. It is the restlessness of consciousness bound, desiring to return to its natural state of being. The closest human word for that natural state of being is love. There is a yearning to return to love, to wholeness. A deep, fundamental part of each and every living being is this essential yearning. It is the call of the cosmic nucleus of Purushottama to all living beings, the pull to return home, to union, to wholeness, to the one undifferentiated love, where there is complete and total fulfillment, where all desires cease, all yearnings dissolve into the fulfillment of love. Some yogis follow the path of jnani, feeling that, thinking that by understanding the true nature of reality and training the mind to see the unitary nature of existence, they can achieve this fulfillment of this some restlessness inside, some desire to know. And indeed, training the mind is critical to right understanding. So their efforts gain them much, but in the end cannot take them across the threshold, because the search for knowledge, the intellect of the mind, is limited because it does not fully engage this yearning of the heart. The yearning of the heart cannot be fulfilled by knowledge alone. It must be fulfilled by direct, intimate experience. It is through feeling that experience becomes available to you. Knowledge trains the mind, but feeling opens the heart to subtle divine states, to your true relationship to the infinite. And when the passion of the heart is awakened with right knowledge in the mind, then the final stage comes, and that is surrender. Knowledge alone, even passion alone, cannot give you what your heart desires most. There is one story about a thief who would chase the Buddha, wanting to steal from his pocket. He found him in the forest and thought, I will take. This man looks well off, I will take what he has. So he lunged for the Buddha, but when he finished his lunge, the Buddha was still the same distance away. So he ran towards the Buddha, who was sitting calmly in a meditative pose. But the Buddha was still far from him. And so he ran faster, but the Buddha was the same distance from him. No matter what he did, no matter how fast he ran, no matter if he lunged, if he stood, the Buddha was the same distance. The thief could not cross that barrier between himself and the Buddha. Why? Because his approach was one of acquisition. He wanted to acquire something. He wanted to take it. But that enlightened one cannot be found, cannot be touched through taking. Finally, the thief gave up. He realized, I cannot, no matter what I do, get any closer to this man. And yet I am so attracted to him. It isn't even his wealth. There is something about him. I am so attracted. So he sat down, unable to catch the Buddha, but having acquired a great awe of the Buddha. He sat down and he said, you are so great. I can never steal from you. I realize I can never touch you. So rather than reverting to his habit as a thief, in awe and honor of the Buddha, he surrendered his desires to the Buddha. Letting go in honor and reverence of the Great One. And to his surprise, the Buddha was suddenly just before him, close to him. His heart leaped and he tried to grab the Buddha, and the Buddha, even though he was so close, remained out of reach. And he realized, I cannot be a thief. I cannot take from the Buddha. I can only offer to him. So he offered himself. He offered everything that he had, though it wasn't much. And the Buddha came closer. and was just there. And as he surrendered himself, he touched the feet of the Buddha. And then he was gone, one with the Eternal One. So, like that thief, if you want to know the infinite, to truly know the infinite, you have to go beyond your desires, your desire to take for yourself. For your little ego cannot possibly touch the infinite one. Cannot contain the unbound love. It is unbound. The only way to access it is to let go. Let go of your own boundaries. Let go of your ego, your identity. Everything you have held onto to define and confine yourself. Let it go. Let it go. Only in surrender to the greatness of the Infinite One can you know that One. He is always distant, far away when you grab for Him. But when you are willing with all your heart to surrender your desires, your fundamental need to acquire for yourself, you can let it go and surrender to the Lord. Surrender to the infinite. Surrender to love. Then that Infinite One fills your mind, fills your heart, and there is no you to be separate and in pain. There is only the eternal, unbound, infinite love.